Charles and Emily, thank you for coming.
Hello. Thank you all for coming. It's good to be here. I owe my mother a visit, so it's convenient to come back home. Excuse me, I spent a lot of time in this building. Graduated in 2008 from the Knock Middle School, and here I am back again. So it's good to have this opportunity. We work for a company called Nexamp. We're a Boston-based solar company, and we were founded in 2007 by a pair of Army veterans returning from Iraq. Their mission was, well, they realized that they had just returned home from a conflict that was driven in large part by fuel security. And they realized that one of the best ways to prevent things like this from happening in the future is to find a way to develop renewable energy resources in the United States and actually enable people to use that technology to power their homes and businesses, cities and towns. So about 12 years ago they started the company, and about 5 or 6 years ago we moved into focusing on what's called community solar, which has really been driven by state-specific policies, and Massachusetts happens to be one of the most successful community solar markets in the country. So I guess I'll run through a few of the company stats here. So we've been rated among the top 3 commercial solar developers in the country over the past few years by Solar Power World. We've received Clean Energy Company of the Year from the New England Clean Energy Council in 2015, and have really experienced a lot of growth along with the community solar markets in New England and New York, and we are rapidly looking to expand. We do have partnerships with a number of groups in Massachusetts, the city of Newburyport, hopefully to be one of them, in response to a recent bid for community solar contracts to reduce the city's electricity spending. But we work with a number of groups, including the Boy Scouts of America.
So our mission statement, we actually kind of just updated our mission statement. As Charles mentioned, community solar over the past 3 years has really become kind of the cornerstone of the Nexamp kind of business model. So our mission statement is building the future of energy, so it is clean, simple, and accessible. Hopefully the clean is kind of obvious enough. Simple is also really important to us as well. We find that there's been kind of so much misinformation and miseducation in the energy industry. Folks don't always understand kind of where their energy is coming from, what they're actually paying for on their electric bill. So it's important to us that we're kind of out in the communities doing education, being really honest and transparent about kind of our business model. And then the final kind of key point to this presentation is accessible. We see community solar as a model that really opens up accessibility to folks who were previously underserved. So people that didn't have the money to install panels on their home, maybe they didn't even own their own home, maybe they're renters, maybe in 3-4 years don't want to kind of invest in panels. And even if they do want to invest in the panels, maybe the angle of the roof isn't right, there's tree cover, all those sorts of things. So this really kind of opens up the ability to participate in the clean energy economy and also kind of see the savings typically associated with solar as well to folks. There's estimates that kind of 50% of households are unable to install panels on their roof and property, and that's kind of a low estimate. So this is definitely kind of a really exciting new way for folks to get involved in the kind of new energy economy. So how does community solar work? At a really, really high level, developers like ourselves will build a large-scale solar farm in a local community. The electricity will be fed kind of directly into the existing utility grid from that location. The value of the electricity we're able to transfer to our subscribers. So residents, small businesses, nonprofits, large cities as well can kind of take a portion of that electrical output, and it shows up on their electricity bill as if they had kind of produced it themselves on site without actually having it be produced on site. So it's really simple and easy and pretty transparent. And we also are actually able to kind of pass along some savings as well.
Great. So Emily primarily works with our community solar team to enroll small subscribers. And so a piece of every community solar policy, they're really state specific. Again, I mentioned Massachusetts being a really strong policy. We've also been doing a lot of development in New York, Maryland, Illinois, each states that have through legislative measures and trying to hit policy goals about spreading clean energy access have designed community solar programs so that, the idea is that really anyone that wants to access clean energy can do it and can save money while they're doing it. So on the other side of that, we have what we often refer to as anchor tenants. And so that would be a large energy user. And so, much like the city of Newburyport, a college, town, housing authority that we sort of rely on to help our projects get financed. Financing these kind of renewable energy projects has long been an obstacle to actually getting as much solar, wind as people want onto the grid. There's always that economic piece, and something that really helps that is being able to sign up a city like Newburyport with a great credit rating and that supports the construction of the project in order to give access to any of our other subscribers. And so the way that it's set up in Massachusetts is that 50% of the project is available to small subscribers. So those are our community solar subscribers that are residential, nonprofit, small businesses. And it was set up in that way so that it would ensure that developers like us were incentivized and encouraged to really attend events like this and many other community events and share the savings to the people that they were intended for. The other piece of that is that anchor tenant relationship, and that's primarily what I'm working on with the colleges, cities, and towns. But you do have those two pieces to each community solar project. It works a little bit different in each state, but that's the general setup of these projects.
So kind of the tenets of our program, community solar can operate in different ways. We offer kind of a subscription, pay-as-you-go, fixed discount model, so I can speak to that best. We've already kind of talked about the inclusive aspect, so as long as you're essentially paying a utility bill, National Grid, Unitil, or Eversource in the state of Massachusetts, you're going to be eligible to subscribe to one of our solar farms. We offer a fixed 15% discount. That discount is kind of off of the utility rates that consumers are already paying, so that means kind of even over the length of the project, kind of up to 20 years, we're able to ensure that that discount on the credits being produced at the farm, will stay at 15%. So you're going to see savings kind of right away. There's no upfront cost or long-term commitment associated with that savings. There's no kind of payback period. As we said, no installation on your roof or property, so it's all happening through the electricity bill. We don't need to do anything on anyone's meters. And again, the utilities will still be providing the electricity to the meters, so we don't need to get involved with that at all. Flexible, what's nice about our program is that you're able to update your allocation at every 6-month interval. So rather than when you're actually buying panels, you're kind of fixed to whatever the energy output is there. If your energy needs change over the course of the year, over the course of many years, we're able to update kind of how much you actually receiving from the farm, which is a really nice aspect of community solar as well. The final thing is at our company, we're actually kind of doing everything in-house. So from the enrollment period on my team to the kind of customer support for the length of someone's enrollment, we'll be kind of answering anyone's questions and taking it from there. So this is what kind of, hopefully folks in the audience are familiar with what a National Grid bill looks like. I imagine you all are. So you have your delivery portion at the top, the supply, the actual kind of commodity of the electricity that you're paying for. Your community solar subscription shows up at the bottom as a negative charge, and those are kind of representing the value of electricity being produced at the farm, and it offsets what you owe. You would then receive an invoice from our company, Nexamp, charging you for that credit at the discount. So you'd pay 85% of that number you're seeing there. So if you have a typical bill that's $100 to National Grid, and you get $100 worth of credit that's offsetting what you would have paid to National Grid, you get a $0 bill from National Grid. You would then get an invoice from our company charging you $85.
Yeah, there was a little,
Great, and something that's important to understand if you're going to sign up for any kind of solar program is, sometimes overlooked, but something that we hear from our customers all the time, and it has to do with when the electricity is produced and when those dollar credits are applied to your bill. So, just as if you were to have solar panels on your roof and you expected over the course of the year those panels to produce enough electricity for you to use over the course of the year, it's probably not going to line up exactly with when you're using that electricity. So, we typically see a pretty seasonal, pretty predictable, pretty seasonal cycle with the way that our credits are distributed to our customers. So, residential and large institutional alike. So, typically, what you'd be looking at is receiving more credits in summer months when the panels are getting a lot of good direct sunlight, and you'd be receiving more credits than you'd actually need to pay down your bill. So if you're looking at a June electric bill, you're likely, if you're going to, just to reference the previous slide, you're likely to see that number at the bottom that represents the dollar value of the credits you're receiving that month exceed anything that you would have paid to National Grid. So in the spring and summer and early fall months, we'd expect our customers to basically receive $0 bills, $0 invoices from National Grid, and mostly be relying on the output of our project, the share of our project to which you've subscribed, to pay down your electric bill. One thing that happens there, and that we've tried to show in this little chart, is that when that happens, say you have a $100 electric bill and you receive $125 in credits, those $25 that you don't use that month don't go away. They sort of stay on your bill as a credit bank, and moving forward, once you get into the fall and winter months when our system isn't producing as much electricity as it was during the summer, you're able to actually eat into that credit bank that you've used. You've sort of in a way already paid down some of your electricity costs that winter. So, the future of community solar. Really, the community solar market has just begun. The first community solar project, I believe, was back in the 80s in Washington State, and it was just a one-off project. The market in concept didn't really catch on until it was introduced in Colorado just about 8 or 10 years ago. Since then, we've really seen it grow, and we like to think about it, and you'll hear some of the higher ups at Nexamp talk about it in the form of an opportunity, statewide, countrywide, and these are a couple sort of brief scenarios showing what we could get to in terms of gigawatts, of community solar potential across the United States. Because as Emily mentioned, there's a really significant portion, often estimated around 50% or greater, of households and businesses in the country that are not able to put solar panels on their roof for one reason or another. So you see a couple different projections, and it's kind of hard to get a sense of scale there, but we're working with projects that are about 2 megawatts a piece, and in order to hit these goals, we're going to be building sort of thousands and thousands of these projects across the state and across the country. It's something that really has the potential to deliver access to clean energy to anyone, regardless of where they live. We don't need the sort of land or utility infrastructure resources to build something you may have considered to give you energy like a gas plant. These kind of projects are, referred to often as distributed generation, and do a really good job of sort of delivering electricity to the grid where it's actually needed, instead of having a centralized distribution grid where you have these large power plants that are often burning fossil fuels and sending the electricity, hundreds of miles in some cases across transmission lines, and then ending up at your home. So this is a quick look at community solar programs across the country and the way they're developing. This is actually, this is from a group called Vote Solar, which is an advocacy group that works with the industry in many different markets. But just as an example of how quickly these things are changing, this is already wrong, and I think it came out at the beginning of the year. So New Jersey has started a community solar market. Illinois just yesterday officially kicked off their community solar market, and many other states are contemplating bringing these policies to their own states. We often see these programs flourish in places you might expect, so places that we had some references to, the election and the political climate, and you certainly do see these kinds of programs being supported in states that have that sort of green awareness, if you will. This is the kind of program that maybe hits those states first, but is a really, really broadly, sort of well-liked program for politicians for a number of different reasons. We're seeing a lot of programs pop up with a requirement that they serve 50%, 40% low moderate income customers per project, because there are a lot of times when the best intentions are laid out and it doesn't quite hit the mark. So we're seeing more and more programs that are really encouraging developers to deliver energy savings and accessibility to the people that need it most. This is just a quick map, and this is accurate of our community solar projects. So we've been mostly accurate in mostly active in Massachusetts to date, building some projects in New York, working on New Jersey. We have a project that is built in Maryland and just getting things started in Illinois. Hopefully in 5 years, we've got at least half the country colored in. I think that's the goal, but. See. So that is the majority of our presentation, and that's sort of a quick rundown of how community solar works. There are any number of intricate technicalities that we can get into, especially since it's different from every state, and different sort of how every person approaches it, how each developer approaches the program. So we wanted to leave a little bit of time open for questions. I think we're doing okay on time. And I think also, so if anyone is interested in learning more about our company or our program, we've got some materials up here. Feel free to come up and grab one. We have a nice new website that you can check out. There's a nice little picture in bio of Emily on there. I did not make the cut, but so we've got plenty of information if you're interested in it. As she mentioned, if you do pay a National Grid electric bill, you can enroll your account in the program, just like we're working with Molly and others to enroll some of the city accounts in some of our projects across the state.
Does anyone have any questions in the crowd? No questions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.